Good evening, everybody. It's me, Scott Bowerman, the Fly Guy, Daiichi Pro Tire, and tonight I'm going to tie a pretty simple bait fish pattern that I had an opportunity to use just a couple of days ago, fishing with a friend of mine, Trevor McDonald, owner of Dream Drift Guide Service. We went fishing for Atlantic salmon, and I wanted to break in my new 10 weight fly rod, so he handed me one of these, and lo and behold, the very first cast, boom, I had an Atlantic salmon on this fly. This may not be the exact way that Trevor ties it, but this is going to give you a gist of an idea of how this pattern goes. So the hook we're going to use is a Daiichi 2451 in a size 1/0. And I've already got a nickel 6mm bead on there. And what I've got here is I've already got some 20 thousandths lead wire. I already pulled off the spool. And I'm going to start wrapping this around our hook shank. I'm not counting any wraps. I'm just kind of starting right here by the hook point, and I'm wrapping forward until I get to the cone. And now I'm just going to snap my lead wire and push that up into the cone, and that's going to keep our cone where it's supposed to be. Thread we're going to use is white Danville 3/0 monocord, and I'm going to start my thread right behind our lead wire, and you can see we stopped right almost above the point. Let me bring our thread back, and that way we're still on the shank of the hook. We're not wrapped around. So now we'll wrap up over our lead wire. We'll kind of figure eight it a couple times, and now our cone's not going anywhere, plus we've got the lead wire. Now I'm going to get some brush on super glue, and right behind that lead wire I'm just going to dab a little bit of super glue, and I've got one white marabou already selected. And I want my tail to be just a little longer than what our hook is, so I'm going to go just past this little material spring here. I'll cut this excess off, discard it, and I'm going to set that, butt it right up against our lead, and start wrapping. And there is our nice marabou tail that's going to swim. Let's see, I have a piece of lateral scale. I've already been tying these. This is good stuff. It looks just like a minnow scale in the water. So I've got one piece already. I'm going to tie it in on this side. And I'm going to cut it to length. And I'm going to turn my fly over. See if you can see it swimming in the light there. Not too good with this lighting, but I'm going to put another piece on the opposite side. And I'm going to cut this piece to length. Now we've got our flashy lateral scale on there. There, you can see it. And now for our body, it's just something as simple as, let me get this here, an EP brush. And this is called Live Bait, is the color. And I've still got a piece here, and I'm going to tie it in. You can see it already, there's an angle towards the material. We're going to want that angle going towards the bend of the hook. Secure it with our working thread. We'll bring our thread forward. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of brush this with our fingers, and then we're going to wrap. You don't need to be right next to each other because they're filling each other. It's filling in as you wrap. But it is important to brush it with your fingers as you're wrapping it, so it keeps going towards the bend of the hook. And we're just going to keep working this dubbing brush all the way up till we almost get to that cone. That 6mm nickel cone. You can use tungsten cones if you'd like. It doesn't really matter. There we go. I'm going to kind of part it with my fingers, and I'm going to secure it with my working thread. And seeing as this is wire on the inside, I do have a pair of wire cutters. I don't want to use my scissors. There we go. We still have a little bit of brush left over for a smaller fly. I'm going to hold this back, and I'm going to wrap several good wraps right up there to get that wire good and secured down. And we're going to just kind of train it a little bit with our fingers. And what we're going to use now is, I thought I had it right there, so I got another pack right here, is chartreuse ice dubbing for a collar. We'll spin that on our working thread. A little bit more. I'm trying to build up this collar so it's the same thickness as what the cone is. So yeah, when we were throwing these the other day for Atlantic salmon, it was quite the experience. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit more of this brush on super glue and just put a little bit on that thread. Hold this material out of the way. Wrap a few times. Now I'm going to put a whip finish on and a second whip finish, and there we have a very easy bait fish pattern. It has flash. It's got the thicker up here than it is back here, so it thins out just like a bait fish, and it darts in the water just like a bait fish does. So hopefully you can get yourself some materials, tie some of these bait fish up, and hopefully you can get yourself onto some Atlantic salmon or some other brown trout, because I see he had caught some brown trout again with this pattern. So Trevor McDonald, Dream Drift Guide Service, thank you very much for the idea of this pattern, and thank you again for the Atlantic salmon trip. So everyone be safe, take care, tight lines, and we will see everybody again next week. God bless everyone. Bye-bye now.